Hey guys, it's Damp. So I am going to redo part of my series that I did with the Long Dark for you guys on like how to start and giving you just some different approaches to the way that I play versus how you may play. If you're a newer player, maybe just looking for a different uh, mindset or thought process on how someone else plays, I think this would be beneficial to you. We're just going to do survival mode and put it on Voyager, and I'll kind of give you some quick things that as I walk through, I'll kind of explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing what I'm doing and what I'm looking to do early in the game. As I think it helped quite a few of you. You guys seem to like the last series, so this will be the 2023 version. So it'll be updated with all the new content. I've bought the new season pass that they have. I think it's well worth the money. This particular, the latest one that just dropped, is a new. There's new changes to the ice fishing system. There's a new cooking system. I think all the stuff they've done has been really well received by the community. I think it's great. So we're just gonna play on Voyager because that's what I'd recommend where you start as far as difficulty goes, and then as we look, you go through here and you look kind of on where you start and some of the options I think that are good for you. Mystery Lake is what I typically recommend that everyone starts at. It's one of the easiest to navigate around when you're new to the game. Mountain Town, I don't know that I'd recommend Mountain Town necessarily, but that'd probably be my third choice, and Coastal Highway would probably be second. The reason that I don't necessarily recommend Coastal Highway over Mystery Lake is there's a lot of wolves in Coastal Highway, and you don't necessarily get a lot of tools to deal with them, and it kind of restricts where you're able to navigate. In Mystery Lake, you're able to avoid them a little bit easier, in my opinion, so that's why I'd recommend starting there, and it's pretty easy to get around and make your way to some points of interest. I think a little easier than Mountain Town, especially. But Coastal Highway's easy to know where you're going because it's all wrapped around a lake. It's easy to navigate, but there's so many wolves there that it can make it difficult, especially if you're a brand new player. So we'll start in Mystery Lake, and I'll just put on whatever I have, I guess. Just I don't have much. I have two accounts, so a lot of the stuff I have is uh, whoops. A lot of the stuff that I have is tied to a different account. So we'll just do this 23 YouTube, and I'll kind of walk through it. The idea is that the series will be like 30 to 45 minute segments, maybe a little longer, and I'll walk through kind of what I'm doing and what I'm looking to do with each individual session, kind of what our goals are, what I look to do each day, and what I'm doing when I first start. So kind of what I'm looking for initially when I start. If you're starting out in the middle of nowhere and you don't really know where you are, especially early on, you want to try and regulate your temperature as quickly as possible. So I'm going to be looking for a building as soon as I can, and I'm basically picking one direction and walking that way. I'm not going to turn around or get in circles or anything. I am going one way and hoping to run into some navigational points. Normally it helps if you walk along, like if you see power lines, you can walk along those, and those will take you to points of interest if you can find them. Since I don't really know where I am, I'm just gonna pick a direction and go. I assume this is somewhere out near the trapper cabin, or maybe near the little pond, but I really don't know where I'm going. So in the bottom left, you can see kind of like your vitals and what you're looking for. And you can see my temperature regulation is going down really quickly already because I don't have a lot of good clothes. So as I'm walking and I'm headed that way, I'm going to pick up all the sticks. They're easier to start fires with as you first go. And then I'm just going to try and stay in one direction and hope that it's the right one. And I'm really looking for a building, even if it's a broken one, something that I can take shelter in and maybe warm up or start a fire if I have to. But I'm hoping that I can find a building by the time our temperature drops completely. But as I'm walking, I'll pick up everything that's on the way. I'm not really going to go out of the way to get anything right now. Not too far at least. Like this old man's beard I'll pick up just because I'm here. But because our time's limited, I'm not going to go over and grab those. So we have rabbits here. I may have a stone in my inventory. Let's see. Doesn't look like it. No, I don't. So we're going to keep moving past the rabbits. Otherwise, I'd probably try and pelt one and bring one with me for something to eat on the way. But we don't have them, so we're just going to move. So your first day, really, I think your main objective should be find some shelter, get your bearings a little bit, and try and figure out where you're going and what you're going to do when you get there. So at least we found, okay, the deadfall area. So I think this is closer to the logging camp, which is the opposite end of where I really wanted to be. But at this point, we aren't going to get turned around. So this is somewhere that if we had to, we could come here and probably start a fire, because I think we have accelerant, but I'm just going to keep moving since we have enough daylight. And at this point, my temperature's down so low that I'm probably going to ignore everything, even like those mushrooms that we just passed. I'm going to keep looking for some structure to hopefully be able to lay down for the night, because it's kind of getting dark. Oh, there's the stone we needed. Oh well. Kind of gonna look and see.
Cold is making my head feel thick.
Is that? Okay, so that is the tunnel. So I'm just gonna head the way to the trapper cabin. I think it's a little closer than, but normally I would walk to those power lines and follow them, but I kind of know where I'm going, so I'm gonna head this way and it should take us to the trapper cabin, and that'll have shelter. We'll be able to get set up for the night. The game kind of gives you enough to get by maybe your first 14 or 15 hours without taking too much heartache, as long as you get to a shelter as soon as you can. You don't get too punished for it. But you can see our temperature gauge is about to run really, really low. And we'll probably have, yeah, there it is, the hypothermia risk come up.
Damn, I'm freezing.
And that's okay. I mean, we're gonna be near the cabin soon. We'll use this birch bark to start the fire when we get there. So it should be right around this corner. The cool part about this is there's normally not a lot of wolves. There's some deer down here. There's some rabbits. Definitely not. I don't see many wolves down here. With all the experience I have here, at least. Some of the spawn points have been changed as they're releasing new content. They're changing where some things are and aren't, and the rate at which some of them spawn. So that's just based off my experience. But there's a small deer. I'm gonna poke my head in here just long enough to see if there's anything in here, and then we're gonna head right to the cabin. And we'll see if we can cook any food. I don't think we have any. And behind this cabin is usually a spot where I set up some rabbit snares, and they tend to do pretty good. But over there in that, just to the right, back in that valley there, there's some spots you can put them to that there's a lot of rabbits. it's a good area. So in the Trapper Cabin, there's a safe. There's a chance you can get a gun on the wall, on the rack. There's an oven, so you can cook. So this is a pretty good spot, is like where you can come and hunt, really, and stay here for a day or two, and then move on.
That'll come in handy.
So we'll put those on. Really don't have anything as a light source, so I might as well just light the stove if I can. Oh, there's a cooking pot here too. That's good. Alright, I think we're just going to use the accelerant. I typically would tell you to hold on to that for emergencies. I'm sure we'll find plenty, and early on in the game it's if I take this off, what is the way this works? They're the same? Okay. Early on in the game, it's probably worth doing. So, we'll start our fire. Throw the firewood on. And then I'm going to take a torch so I can kind of see if there's anything we can cook around here. So the rifle spawns here. There's a lantern, that's good. Here we go. Those peaches we can cook. We got a can opener. Put that for our storm lantern. Rifle ammo, even though we didn't have the rifle.
Hope I can still eat this.
So there's a lot of useful stuff in here. Got the coffee. Fishing tackle's good too. So ice fishing's changed. I'll go into that a little later when we get closer to the lake. I'll kind of show you guys how that's changed. We'll do this in the morning. We don't necessarily need it now. We found our food, so. Take the coffee. We don't really need it right now.
This will come in handy.
And then put this here. Really, I kind of broke my own rule. Typically, as soon as I start a fire, I'm either cooking or putting water on it right away, because the fire's so valuable you don't want to waste it. You should always be using it at least to make water, if nothing else. Okay, so let's get some food cooking. We'll cook these. The way I normally do it is I try and cook the canned goods, and obviously any, you know, deer or whatever, wolf, fish, whatever you got, and then I try and carry stuff like chips and granola bars with me. As you guys, if you've watched my other videos, I basically say don't carry your calories if you can help it. I mean, water to some extent, you can't help it that much, but try not to carry your calories if you can help it. So that'll give us some water and food. There's nothing else we can cook, so we'll make more water. We got 15 minutes left, which isn't enough to make the water here. So I'm going to add enough fuel probably to get us by. And all those sticks that we picked up, I mean, obviously you guys can see it's almost enough to give us an hour. And they did not give us, they won't put off a ton of heat, but it's enough to keep these cooking. So we also lost some heat out of here and time because I took the torch. So do keep that in mind. Whenever you're taking a torch, you're going to cut down some of your time. So again, I try not to waste any time if I can help it. If you know you got, 45, I'll add another stick here real quick. 45 minutes to an hour. You can usually do things like you can read books, you can sharpen your knives, you don't really just want to skip time if you can help it, is kind of what I'm getting at. There's a lot of things you can do with fixing your clothes, if you need to. Okay, we don't have any leather. We could fix these though. See, so this is going to take 45 minutes. You just want to make sure you have enough. So that's 46 minutes. It's probably not enough time. So we'll add 2 of these, and that should give us enough. So we can do this. We'll probably break it anyway. There it goes. So we have 44 minutes, so we don't have enough to go back and do it again. So do I have a whetstone? But I don't have a knife, do I? No. I was going to say we could sharpen our knives. And we don't have any books to read, so our options there were a little bit limited. While I'm kind of talking through what we're doing, since I'm just sitting here, as we look at the food, I try to early on eat a lot of the food that's in the 30s or 20s. I try and eat that first and save the stuff that's, you know, got a higher percentage on it. And the reason I do that is you have access to a lot more antibiotics. Once we get later on in the game and I'm carrying around more antibiotics, I usually try and leave stuff in the first aid kit here, because this I use as a midway point between here and the base camp. So if I can help it, I try and leave some materials, split some up. I don't just cram them all at the camp, because you never know when a blizzard's gonna have you stuck. As you could be stuck somewhere and not be able to get back for a day or two. So 19 minutes, so we'll go ahead and skip this just for purposes of the video. And I'm gonna bring this with us, but I'll leave this here. And this won't have enough time to boil, it doesn't look like, but that's okay. So we're not exactly tired. And because we're not, I'm going to look for stuff to do that doesn't require light. So normally I look for like cloth on the walls, the curtains, tear them down. There's cloth right there. And if I can help it, I try to not use tools. You know, if you need tools, like you can see it requires the hatchet, that's a different story. But like this one doesn't require anything, so it is going to cost you some calories, but... And you also, you're not going to do this all night. It's just long enough to kind of get your sleep pattern balanced. You want to be waking up, ideally I'd say you kind of want to wake up like right as the sun's coming up. And then I try and get some administrative things done, and I really try not to travel until late morning because the temperature is usually really, really low early on. As you get later on in the game, the timing does not matter as much because your clothing is going to be that much better. But so we can't really see anything else that we can do, so it might just be time to go to bed because we don't have the tools to break these things down. Oh, here we go. Alright. Anything we can make? Doesn't look like it. No. Okay. So we'll sleep 7 hours. I should have probably drank before I went to bed. That's another thing. I usually try and drink and eat before I go to bed, but we only slept 7 hours, so it didn't matter as much. And again, you don't want to carry your weight around if you can help it, so I'll go ahead and drink and eat this because it's a little heavy for the amount of calories it is. That granola bar is super light. I try and save drinks like this, like the soda drinks, until I both need hunger and thirst, and since we just filled up, I don't really need it. I think we're okay right now, though. Alright, so there isn't enough light for us really to do anything. And we woke up fully rested. So at this point, you probably, if you can't repair anything, which I'm sure it's too dark. Yeah. I might be able to go outside. Sometimes you can go outside and it's light enough early in the morning. It's just super cold. So let's see. Yeah, see, it's enough light out here. But if you notice, look how cold we got. So you have to be careful with that. Because that's going to delay us from leaving a little bit. But we were able to be productive, so... Okay, so we can't sleep. But it's definitely pretty cold outside. So because it's dark, I'll probably just I'll go in bed and just pass the time. Just to warm up. Because you get that bed warmth bonus. So that's good enough. So if we're light, we have enough light. We don't have any clothes we need to repair. We don't have anything we need to really sharpen. Refuel this. And then we'll work on cracking the safe because it's light enough to do that. Oh, we missed that crate that we could have broke down. Okay, so it's like 57. $56. Jeez. 56.4. Okay.
Hope nobody needs this anymore.
Okay, that's useless. Well, the arrow's not bad. We won't need it for a while, I don't think. And that's all we got. So, not great. Probably just break some stuff down. Since we aren't carrying a lot of weight and we can afford to bring some weight with us. There's nothing really back here. I'm actually going to leave some of these, oh, see? I talked about it in the last video, but breaking down things, a lot of times there's items behind it, like you just saw there, or sometimes inside of it that you just couldn't see. So, but I'm going to leave, so sometimes it is worth doing just to do it, because sometimes items will pop up. I'm going to leave some sticks here, because eventually we'll make some improvised traps with the guts. So it's kind of hard to be productive with what we have going on. I'm going to grab the charcoal. And I'll just map this place, get outside, see how cold it is. See if I think I can make it to the camp. Oh, it's too cold. It's rough weather right now, so... there's not a lot to really gather around here either. Go grab a few sticks. There's some old man's beard back there, but that's not great, but also don't want to waste a ton of calories if we can't move. Alright. There's some saplings over there though, but I don't have a hatchet. Oh, breakfast. So I was saying, this is usually a pretty good spot. What? I don't know how that missed. Close your eyes. I should have warned you guys before that. So anyway, the guts that we take from this we'll use to make the trap. That's why I left the sticks here. And then I'll leave a snare back here. I don't know if I can clean it without a knife or not. I'm not sure. I think you can though. Yeah, it just takes a little longer.
Anything right now.
Okay. So we'll eat this later. And we're going to dry out the pelt and the guts now. And we'll come back later for it. So there's that there. So yeah, anytime you kill an animal, you're going to have to dry it out by leaving it, you know, inside somewhere. To let it basically cure for however long it takes. It's usually a few days. Alright, so we do need to eat and drink. So we'll do this. From a calorie standpoint, we'll eat the dog food because it's a little heavier. I'm going to save the condensed milk. Really, our objective for the day was kind of to get to the mystery camp, or the mystery lake camp. It's still pretty cold. We probably could make it. Be a little bit of a rough go though. If I can get all the way, I'll get my warmth all the way up. And then we'll go. I'll just rest for like an hour. Try and get our warmth up, and then we'll get on the road. Alright, there we go. So, here we go. Ideally, oh, it's still kind of cold. Ideally, we'll get to the camp and be able to kind of get established. We'll make the rabbit for dinner and eat that. And then the following day, what we will do is try and go hit all the cabins along the lake. And when we're doing that, we're kind of looking for fishing tackle. I really think ice fishing is the most underrated skill in the game and can easily be used to exploit, even more so now, needing food. This is the other area I was saying, like, that typically has a bunch of rabbits. There's a few of them over there now that you could put your snares. So yeah, so we're going to try and walk back to camp. You'll see the railroad up here, and then there's a tunnel to move to an adjacent zone, or you can follow the railroad tracks, and as you follow the tracks, you'll head towards the camp building. I'm kind of doing the same thing where I'm really just looking for stones and sticks or whatever's on the ground along the way. And then at a certain point, we're going to stop grabbing things because our temperature's low. We just want to get where we're going. But I do want a couple stones to be able to peck some rabbits or ptarmigans. tell we're really not even halfway there, and our warmth has dropped. So I very rarely run, but early in the game I tend to run more than other times to just try and minimize the exposure to the cold. We'll be able to make it okay, but like right here, sometimes there's some spawns of some items, and I didn't want to miss this, but we don't have a ton of time to look around. Like, I'm not going to harvest the rose hips or anything, but this takes you to another zone. You'll see you can leave Mystery Lake there. Like, this is a part where we could warm up, really, if you wanted to. It's sheltered from the wind pretty good, but we'll be okay. So if you're in Mystery Lake and you're walking along the railroad tracks, if you've played it before, you obviously know this, but there's quite a bit of traffic of wolves up and down this area, from these little hills here to across to this area here. So keep that in mind if you're early in the game, that you probably are going to run into them. You can use that to your advantage if there are deer that sometimes spawn near the camp. You can actually trap the deer with the wolves, and then the wolves will actually attack and kill the deer for you, and then you just have to ward off the wolf and you can have the deer.
Never felt so cold in my life.
There's also a lot of firewood along this walk here. You can collect as you get a hatchet. Not as many sticks here. There are a few, but not as many as there are down by the trapper cabin. That does change depending on, you know, every time you spawn it changes, but I find there's usually a bunch down by the cabin or on the way to the cabin. And I'm grabbing these now because we've already used our firewood, so we're going to need them in order to cook the rabbit, get some more water, and just having a fuel source in general. So I'm going to grab all these even though we're cold, because we do not have a piece of firewood. There may be some in the camp, but just in case there isn't. So yesterday I ran into ptarmigans right over here. I don't know how often they show up, but I did see a group of them there. So I'm sure they can pop up all over the place, but there's some new recipes that are just for ptarmigan. And I think you use their feathers to make fishing lures now too. Alright, so we'll be able to warm up. And kind of like the same way we did last time, we're looking in corners of the room and just going to try and loot up, clear out this place. And this is going to be, we're going to set up shop, so we kind of want to find everything we can, and you know that we're going to set up shop here. We're going to leave a lot of items behind, but take probably tomorrow to mostly get organized. Oh, that's a good find. That's a really good find. So let's see how much that brings. So we're at +9. We didn't even have a jacket, so if we were to repair this, it'd give us probably another 4 degrees to warmth, which is pretty good. So this is the new cooking skillet that you use for some of the new recipes. It's required for the new recipes. Oh, we won't need 2 can openers.
Wonder if the owner's around.
Some potatoes. I don't use the spray paint. A lot of people do. I very rarely use it. Another cooking pot. That's good. The potatoes are a new item, as is the cooking oil. kind of show you guys the so there's new recipes. See, ptarmigan, you can make broth, porridge, ptarmigan stew, rabbit stew, trout stew. So if I had broth, I could make rabbit stew, but I don't. And then, so this is, you can use this in a cooking pot, and then if with a cooking skillet, you can use these. And then these are just like things you can make in a can. Right now we don't have any. I think there's some you can learn. But like I'll show you now that we have the flour. I could make bannock, whatever this is. Bollocks. I don't know. I don't know what that is, but our skill's not good enough anyway. So, all right. Take the line. So what I do is the place where you're gonna be using like tools and stuff. I typically store my tools in here. So like the miscellaneous parts. I usually put my lantern fuel in here. The arrows. If I don't have a bow, I'll leave them in here. The ammo I carry with me, but and then the same way like this, we'll put the jerry can in here because I really don't need that. My extra can opener can go in here because that's basically a tool. And then in here, I'll put all my extra meds. So I try not to carry a lot of extra meds. I store the ones that are the highest, and then I carry on me the ones that are typically the lowest. And I usually don't carry that many on me. 4 is probably more than enough. The antiseptic gets really heavy really quickly. Take the bandage, and that's pretty good there. And then where I start my fires, I usually keep storage, which will be up here. There's a dead body that can spawn here that you can loot. More spray paint. I don't need that lantern right now.
I could use this.
Fire starting skills. That's a really helpful book early on. Okay. That was good. So we got another pair of jeans.
Never been so hungry in my life.
I don't know why I can't use that. I guess I can't stack those. You used to be able to. I probably can't do it anymore. So I can break that down. Okay, cargo pants. Those are probably better than what I have. Yep. Alright, good enough. Another can. Alright, so usually we'll stock like my fire stuff in here.
That'll come in handy.
Because I know I'm going to be using it. And you're going to keep quite a bit on you, but you don't need to carry everything under the sun too. So put that in there. I'm not going to take the cooking pots with me, so early on I'm just going to use the cooking pots here because I'm looking for the most water I can make, the easiest I should say, as quickly as possible. So I'm going to put those in there. Oh, there's the broth, so maybe we can make a recipe. And then, let's see. Downstairs I'll put the, yeah, we can make the rabbit stew. So, that's probably worth doing just because. It's probably going to level our cooking skill a little bit easier. So that's what we'll make for dinner. And then I'll put the rest of my miscellaneous items, as they say, downstairs in the filing cabinets. That's just how I organize it. If you guys have a better suggestion, throw them in the comments. I like to get different people's perspectives on how they play the game, but I use a drawer for pretty much each different item. Like my clothes will go in one, extra food stuff that I don't need will go in another. Like I don't need to carry this many. I usually carry like, just in case it pops up. We won't be carrying 3 pounds of flour, so once I cook, I'll put that in there. The tea can go in here. The potatoes will go in here. Salt, same way. I don't need to bring those with me. Well, the rest of this is probably okay. The broth, once we cook, I'll put in here. And then these cans, I'm going to put in here. The cooking skillet, I'll put on the stove over there. I'm sure I'm carrying something I don't need, but I don't really want to make you guys watch Inventory Simulator, so we'll put the cooking skillet here. And you can repair this once you get a toolkit also. Put it in a little better shape. So, it takes 2 hours to cook that. I'm guessing you need to have the fire on. I'm not really sure though, but I mean it's kind of it's kind of still early on, so we're not too tired yet. It is kind of cold, but we might be able to loot like one building. What I also like to do is use the outside as the fridge. I'm not sure if this still works, but I've always done it this way. But it used to like save your product from breaking down. Your like fish and meat and stuff. Like one of these we're just gonna eat right away, so I can carry it around with me. It doesn't matter, but I think that was a smaller piece. But I'll just try and maybe loot one of these cabins since it's a little warmer now, having the jacket. And then we'll turn around and go back as the sun goes down. The lake area here is really, really foggy, so don't be surprised if you get out here and you get lost. Just try and keep that in mind. A lot of times it gets really foggy. It's really easy to get turned around if you don't really know where you're going here. Especially towards the night. This is another area there's usually a lot of wolves. On cue. Whoops, wrong one. That didn't work. Swing and a miss. Must have thumbed him in the eye. But, like I was saying, it's easy to get turned around. I really don't know which one we're at right now. I thought I was walking straight, but I guess I wasn't. So, we'll check ourselves. Okay, so we need a bandage. Guess I gotta pull the flare out.
All I can think about is food.
Anyway, I'm gonna move away from that because I don't have anything to really defend myself. I think down here are the little cabins. But I may have actually went around the corner. I don't know, it's really hard to tell. I don't think this makes it any easier. Not really. Well, this is kind of why I said it's a good example of how easy it is to get lost. I mean, I was just trying to walk to that one ice shanty, and don't know where the hell we ended up. Oh, we're on the, yeah, we went to the other side. So I gotta go make my way back up to the ice shanty we were at, and hopefully avoid the wolves. Sometimes it does help if you're walking in the snow that you guys could see my footprints. You could see like where you've been and where you've come from. That's why I'm trying to hug this wall. Just stick here, I guess, since we have to lick our wounds from the beating we took. Are those the ptarmigans?
Wait.
Yep.
I'm so cold.
These are so small, though. Now the fog clears. Little shaky hands here. Close your eyes, chat. Alright. Meat is back on the menu, I believe is the expressions. Alright. Let's go cook. call it a day. I have yet to harvest one of these ptarmigans. How long does this take? 4 feathers, 3 hours. Okay, no, we're not doing that right now. Okay.
I'm gonna need to eat soon.
We'll use this book. Deal. So since we needed like 2 hours, there we go. Rabbit stew. Yeah. The sound effects are good. And then we'll do water here. So again, we got an hour till that's ready. We got 2 hours here, so let's read our book for an hour. And try and use up our time as best as possible. Okay, now we got our water boiling. We need another hour. That's gonna take 30 minutes. So we might be able to fix some clothes. Still break this down while we have light. Okay, 12 minutes until ready.
Gotta eat soon.
Oh, fire hardened arrows you can do now, yeah. Forgot about that. Since there's only 9 minutes, we'll pass time. And let's eat it.
I'm too tired to think straight.
And like we said last time, we'll use this time. Let's see. I might be able to still cook, yeah, rabbit. Cook that, because it's not enough to... It's enough time that we can cook it, and it's not enough to really save for anything. That. So even though we got 1,000 calories from that, it still was hardly enough. So I'm gonna add 1 stick, and the reason is I want this to be able to go to the next stage of at least melted water. I'm gonna drink all this. Will probably burn out. There's not enough time to really make anything with it. So, what can we eat? We need a bunch of calories, so we probably should eat this. That rabbit was not enough. Alright. In the morning, we'll drink our soda and the rest of the water. And I think we're pretty much good to go, y'all. We're tired, so we'll go ahead and save and end our first episode here. So our next objective will be to loot those cabins and see if we can get some fishing tackle and hopefully be able to ice fish by tomorrow. If we don't get what we want, then we're going to head over towards the dam and basically just keep looting along our way until we get the equipment so we can start to ice fish. And ideally, you really want to kind of get a stable foundation before you move zones. At least in my opinion, I think to really have a really good set of clothes before you're making all that move. Hopefully you have a weapon, maybe a crowbar to get some of the more rare loot from the locked trunks and lockers and things. So we will end the first episode here. I'll save, and then the next episode we'll pick up tomorrow morning. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.